Well, good evening again, everybody. This is Lynn Gardner. Welcome to the call. This is a Dream Series call. I think it's our 6th or 7th week, I was saying right before we started. And I tell you one thing, it's really, really been a blessing for me. I've shared with you guys probably every week for our newcomers here that dreaming was not a part of my life. Believe me, I spend most of my life in survival mode, and I'm really, really good at just picking up and moving on. But I've started having to deal with things in my past. It's not okay just to walk away from things, and I've started to deal with that, and I'm learning to dream. And so this has really just been an amazing study for me to see the importance of understanding that your dream, whatever dream that is, was not put there by you. You know, it's a seed planted by God, and it really, really excites me to see where I'm going and see what happens. So we're going to look at a couple of different things tonight. First is kind of the stages that we go through. You know, we've decided that, okay, I'm not going to run from this anymore. I'm embracing this dream. I'm going to go forward with it. I'm going to let it lead me to where I need to go. And the first stage is the dream itself, of course. And you got to, you know, one of the exercises that we went through was to look at your natural gifts and talents. And don't tell me you don't have any, because God didn't work that way. You do. I don't know what they are, but you have them. And what you'll find is that you get kind of drawn to that natural gift and talent. So no matter what you're out there doing, you'll just kind of find yourself migrating over to your natural gifts and talents. That's one thing that's been clear for me, you know, with my business. Here we are, most of us in the same industry, you know, and I just keep getting drawn back to, you know, communication, whether it's writing or speaking or whatever, and it's kind of like, what am I doing? But I'm seeing it all come full circle now. So first is understanding the dream. If you're still struggling with not having a dream, the best place to start is looking at your natural gifts and talents. It's going to be a trigger point for you to determine what that dream is. So second stage you go through is you're at the edge of that comfort zone that we talked about. You know, guys, the dream is always way bigger than you are, okay? So it's absolutely pushing you out of your comfort zone. But remember, the dream, the seed of the dream comes from God. And so there's nothing too big for him. You've got to be willing to get outside of your comfort zone with the belief that you're not carrying this ball all by yourself. You know, you have to feel discomfort. And the next thing that you say is, you know, if you don't deal with that is, I don't want to do this. It doesn't feel good. I'm scared. I don't want to do it. You would turn into a little girl, right? We don't want to move forward, kind of wussy. So we've got to understand that everybody feels uncomfortable, and everybody has to be uncomfortable as we break through to that dream. You know, but what happens when you finally decide that no matter what, you're going to follow the dream? What happens when you finally want it more than the feelings or the discomfort that you have to deal with? It has to be bigger than that, right? So you've got to feed the seed of that dream and water it and take good care of it and understand that it's going someplace magnificent. So you've got to want it more than you want to run from the feelings of fear or discomfort. And then there's a third stage. You know, when you're pursuing your dream and you're feeling a little uncomfortable, remember, the dream is always going to be bigger than you, and it's normal to feel that way. But as we feel uncomfortable, and we start to work outside of the boundary of that comfort zone, the boundary that we put around ourselves becomes a little shaky, doesn't it? So it's scary, right? To think about, where am I going? I don't even know if I'm equipped to go there, right? Those are all feelings of the flesh and the things that we tell ourselves, but we've got what it takes. But when we get just kind of pushing outside that comfort zone, we start feeling a little shaky. So there you are, pursuing your dream, and you're feeling a little shaky. You know, I got to work through the comfort zone. But have you considered that when you're feeling shaky, that there are other people around you that begin to feel shaky too? You know, when you get shaky, they get out of their own comfort zone. These are people whose lives are right on the border of your life. You know, maybe it's your spouse, or maybe it's your kids, or maybe it's friends of yours, or maybe it's people from church or people from work. There's people whose lives are closely bordering your own, right? And so these people want you back within your comfort zone, because they know you, right? They see you, well, this is my dream, this is where I'm going. You know, you reveal what's on your heart, what's in your life, what God has for you, and you're telling them where you want to go, but they don't want you to go there. They want you right back where you were. You know what? They want you in the comfort zone. They understand you, and they know what your life looks like. They know where you were and where you think you're going, and they might believe that, you know, you've been doing just fine right where you are, so why are you changing things up? And when you stop keeping your dream to yourself and you share it with these people whose lives border your lives, you know what happens? They do everything in their power to get you back in your comfort zone so they can go back to their comfort zone too. And you know, we call, in our business, sometimes we call them dream killers. These are the people that they're not happy with you even talking about this mess, right? And one of the unrealistic expectations that we discussed in the very first few weeks. If we become disappointed, discouraged, disillusioned, and then we hit despair, if we don't understand what we can need to expect. We have unrealistic expectations. And we sometimes expect our world. You think about this dream, you pray about this dream, you ponder this dream, you start getting excited about this dream, and then you share this dream and you get shot down. We're not prepared for that. It's really unrealistic to think that whatever that dream is probably going to be kind of off course of what your world thinks you ought to be doing, right? And so we have unrealistic expectations that our world's going to say, that is so cool. But most of the people whose lives border ours are not going to do that. It's not reasonable to expect them to do that. And so it's important to understand that if we're messing with their comfort zone, it's really going to create a lot of drama in our lives. It's about the fact that they're uncomfortable with your change and your plans. They like it when you're predictable. Maybe it's that you're going from a paycheck to a self-employed world where you're commissioned. They like the predictable. Most people don't like change, and they don't like it any more than the next guy. They want you back in the middle of your old comfort zone because they know you, and this is what they know to lean on and expect. They don't want to change, and they'll do everything to stop it. So, does that make sense? Well, once again, the comfort zone overlap is the border of your life and the border of their life. These are the people closest to you. This is referred to as borderland. It's a different kind of land. Outside of this border, is that threat of your dream. In an effort to get you back to where these people want you to be, what they're used to, they're attempting to discourage you. Distract you. Now, these people probably love you, right? But they start discouraging you and distracting you and say, you need to get a job, you need to quit dreaming, you're too old for that, you're too young for that, you're not educated enough for that. So criticize you, do everything they can, to get you to go back to where you came from, right? This is a serious threat to your dream. When you're keeping your dream to yourself and you're just kind of feeling it on your own and praying about it and not sharing it with anybody, then you don't have to deal with this. It's when you take that plunge and you make the decisions, you're bold enough, for ladies, they understand when I say put your big girl panties on and you go forward, right? That's when you start hitting the adversity. When you begin to share your dream, you cross into that borderland and the shaking begins. They'll attempt to make you doubt financial security. They'll ask you, what's going to happen? What are we going to do? What are you going to do? What about your job? What about your retirement? They'll ask all kinds of stuff, right? These people mean well. They're not your enemy, okay? They're a threat to your dream, but these people mean well. They think that they know you, and they think that they know what's best for you. But they didn't plant the seed of that dream, did they? So it's very important that we understand the magnitude, the spiritual side of that dream, because when we face the adversity from the people who actually mean well and they care about us, trying to get us whipped back in line, right? But it's not their dream, and they didn't plant that seed, and so we've got to keep that in perspective. All they care about is their own comfort zone, and since your lives overlap with their life, they start feeling a little shaky, and they don't like it. These people are the border bullies. They'll bully you in every way imaginable to get you back to where you were. They push you back. They create fear. They make you feel stupid. They create doubt in your mind. You start questioning yourself. Right? What are they really trying to do? Again, they're only trying to get you back to the middle of your comfort zone, back to the life that you were living before you started talking all this dream nonsense, right? So it's really important that you understand where the dream comes from. Most people have plenty of people who could be labeled as border bullies. If you don't, God bless you. Your world must be smaller than mine, but most people have plenty of people that could be labeled border bullies, and those attempting to push you back within your comfort zone. There's another kind, though, that you'll have to deal with, and not very many of them, but usually one or two that we can call border buddies. It's when their lives overlap with ours just a little bit, but really they're not as intimately involved in our lives. These people love you, they care about you, they hear you out, they'll listen to you, they'll pat you on the back, say, that's really cool. They're not really connected to your dream, but they're connected to you in some way, and they care about you, and you like them, and when you share life with them, and in this case your dream, they don't attack you because they're friends, and they'll be supportive, and they really won't go against you. They might want to hear more about it, and they seldom attempt to cloud your vision at all. They're just kind of sounding boards, right? They like you. They're going to be agreeable. They don't get involved. They don't really have much to say. They, in a lot of ways, they kind of appease you, right? And they'll clap for you. And they may even go off to the side and say, you won't believe what Lynn's trying to talk. You know, they may be talking to their spouse or whatever about what your dreams are, but they won't do that in front of you. You know, they aren't so close to you that your comfort zone impacts their comfort zone, right? So it's kind of a no-brainer. It doesn't really matter. But there's one more person that we all should strive to find. All of us needs this kind of buddy. You know, they're the opposite of the border bully, and they aren't necessarily a personal friend. In fact, they're really not a buddy at all. These people are border champions, and border champions can help you propel very quickly toward your dream. Border champions try to encourage you, and they try to help guide you, and maybe they'll even warn you. You know, there's usually people that have kind of already been down the road that you're going down, and then they can see things happening. They won't speak up to discourage you, but they love you enough to tell you the truth, right? They'll tell you what to do and what not to do because they've experienced it, and they try to attempt to navigate you to where you want to go. In our business, that's what we all look for, isn't it? We look for a border champion, not somebody who's so close to us that they're going to freak out because our comfort zone's making them uncomfortable. And we don't necessarily just need a friend that's going to agree with everything. You know, we really need a border champion that isn't threatened by the border of our comfort zone, you know, and as we step out to that border, their life isn't entwined with ours. And so they can speak the truth and navigate the way and hold us accountable. They're outside of the borders of your life, so to speak. Your lives and the borders don't ever cross. The border champion is concerned that you're going to finish your dream. And you know what you're going to find, guys? Most of the time, and again, I'm speaking for our business too, when you find a border champion, you know what, most of the time, they're a person of faith. You know, they understand that dream that you have is not superficial, and it's not just something to make you feel warm and fuzzy. They understand that you have a greater purpose in life, and they want to help you get there. They want you to finish it because they understand the importance of fulfilling what God has for you. So what are your expectations? You know, are you realistic about those stages, about the challenges? You know, can you think through as we talk about border buddies and, you know, border bullies and border champions? Can you think through and maybe identify some people in your life? If you don't have that border champion, you know, look for that person. Seek them out, right? Because we all need that. Remember, your reality and your dream are working together at the very same time. So we've got to be equipped as we can so that our reality doesn't discourage us. Your reality and all those border bullies have the greatest impact and when you have unrealistic expectations. Again, when you're thinking, oh, I'm so excited, I'm going to go do this, and I know this is what I'm supposed to do, and you share it with your closest circle, and they go right against you, right? You had unrealistic expectations. They were going to cheer you on and be happy for you, but you make them uncomfortable, so they won't. Reality is fixed sometimes on unpredictable things. You know, you need to recognize it for what it is and refuse to let reality kill your dream. Remember, it's not your dream. It was planted there. A reality that is 100% of every single person who starts to get serious about building their dream, you know what 100% of the time happens? They will absolutely, positively be afraid. So as you're sitting there tonight and maybe you're just kind of watering the seed of that dream and fear works up within you, that's perfectly normal. The dream's bigger than you. It's huge, right? You can't do it in your own will. You know, you need supernatural power to do it. So if you're telling yourself that you're the only wuss out there, you know, that nobody else is afraid, and it must not be God, because if it was God, then I wouldn't be so afraid. That's such a lie. Everybody's going to feel some fear, and everybody's going to feel a little wussy once in a while. This kind of fear isn't necessarily a spiritual battle, by the way. This kind of fear is within you, and it has everything to do with that comfort zone. We keep coming full circle to that, don't we? It has everything to do. When you get uncomfortable, fear sets in, and so you have to understand it and call it what it is. You know, whether you step outside of your comfort zone or not is entirely up to you, but unless you have realistic expectations of these stages, of the people you encounter, of the risks that you take, and you know, having unrealistic expectations of disappointment or discouragement or disillusionment or despair. It's understanding that, getting it inside your head and getting inside your heart. You know, that kind of fear is temporary. And you've got what it takes, you know, to build upon your dream. You've got what it takes to overcome that fear. You just got to pursue it, right? It's borderland. Border bullies may love you, and they may be afraid for you. They can say that you won't succeed, and they can talk to you about failure, but the seed of the dream is bigger than them too. And so you've got to understand they do have your best intentions. Most of them have your best intentions at mind, and in mind. They want to look out for you, but they don't have your dream. They didn't plant the seed. They don't have some supernatural ability to tell you what's going to happen when you pursue your dream. You've got the biggest defense on your side. The border bullies think they're protecting you from yourself, but the only thing they're fighting against is the fact that you stepped outside of your comfort zone. You got a little shaky ground there as you did it, and they got uncomfortable too. It's not your dream. It's their dream that they have for you. How many people do we know in our lives? You hear it a lot from young people. Oh, geez, my parents want me to go to medical school, and I want to be a farmer. We hear it all the time. People trying to instill their dream on you. I was talking to somebody the other day about dreams, and somebody possibly joining me in this mission that I'm on with our work, and they're up against a spouse that the dream that their spouse has is get a 9-to-5 job, get $10 an hour, and everything's wonderful. But that's that person's dream. You can't lead your life with somebody else's dream. No matter what they want for you, God planted a seed of whatever it is. Sometimes the border bullies are people who are envious, and they're jealous, and they want to protect themselves, and they don't, why? Because they don't want to have to be forced outside of their comfort zone to follow their own dream. So it's almost better for them if you don't succeed. They're too afraid to try, and they don't want you showing them up, if you will. They're too cowardly to even try. But that's not something to hold against them. Again, it's all based on comfort zone, and it's all based on fear. But with those people, if you fail, it would make life better for them. And it's sad, but it's very, very true. And I think maybe some of you have encountered people like that. Where you thought, what is your problem? It's almost like they did not want you to succeed, because then they might have to do something, So they want you to fail. Some people are vicious in that way. We don't like it, but, again, having a realistic expectations, perhaps you're dealing with somebody like that that's kind of attacking. They speak slander and they attack you. But then again, you'll have some border buddies that are there just for you. So it's going to be somebody that's just a sounding board, maybe it's only a couple, 2, 3 of them or whatever, but it's always going to be somebody that God will put around you. It's just, just kind of there, and it's nice to know that they're not against you. But it's that one person, the one who won't let you quit, the one that will push you beyond anything that you can imagine, the one that won't let you get away with everything, the one that will speak the truth to you, but they're also willing to pull your head up out of the sand and set you straight over and over and over again, is the border champion. We all need that champion. So most of the time these champions, again, they've already been there and done that, right? They can see where you are. They can see what it takes. And you really won't usually see somebody that has absolutely no experience whatsoever in this area of your life, that's going to be beneficial. They won't be called to you, in other words, because they've never been there. And because they've never been there, they probably won't even have the desire to help you, right? So really, you can most of the time 100% bank on them having been there and done that. They're worthy to lead you, and they can help you achieve what you have. Because the number one reason, the number one desire in their heart is to see you fulfill your dream. But the number one reason, or the place that your dream will die, is in that comfort zone. You've got to get out of the comfort zone. The second reason the dream dies are those border bullies. So, we've got to look out for those two things. So what's the point? Well, it's important that you turn your expectations around. Don't be offended by those bullies. It's not personal. It's almost like in the Christian world, we understand that our struggle is not against flesh and blood. It's hard to remember that in a battle sometimes, because you take it personally. It's never personal. And so remember that those border bullies, it's not a personal thing. You can understand what's making them react that way. And remember, you're making them uncomfortable because you just signed up to get uncomfortable yourself. These bullies have plenty of people in their lives, and if any one of them dares to step out of the comfort zone, whether it's a kid or a spouse or a friend, they're going to attack them too because they don't like being uncomfortable. They don't like it when life changes. So you have to make up your own mind. Is your dream more important to you than all those negative opinions that come from the border bullies in your life. Are you strong enough to wrap your head around it, to see it for what it really is, to not take it personally yourself, and to keep, battling through, understanding that the only reason they're reacting that way is because they're uncomfortable. It's okay if everybody doesn't agree with you. Again, it's the foundation behind every single dream that we're talking about is that God planted that seed. He isn't looking for their approval. He doesn't need them, and He doesn't need their approval. So you need to be stronger than the opinions of others, and that's okay. It's okay to just pursue that, and you can still love them all you want to. But remember, border bullies, border buddies, and border champions. So as a refresher here, stage 1 is that you need to have the dream. So if you've got the dream, you're starting to embrace the dream. These are the things that we're looking at. If you don't have the dream, start looking at your gifts and talents, and it's going to be revealed to you. Stage 2 is you need to address your own comfort zone. Nothing. When you think about it, there's nothing worthwhile or meaningful or significant in life that happens that doesn't require you to get outside your comfort zone. You would never do anything. You would never have a relationship. You would never have children. You would never get a job. You would never do anything because all those things require that you get uncomfortable, and especially true when you have a dream. And stage 3 is have realistic expectations about the borders and all that comes with them. You need to be unshakable. We are here for a purpose. And I hope that truth is being driven home to you more and more week after week after week. It's been very convicting to me to consider not just the dream, and that I have to pursue that dream. That's been an exciting part. But when I look at, as we studied in the last week or so, whatever, you don't store up your treasures here. You're storing them up in heaven. So all that we're doing here, all the good work that we do here is being rewarded in heaven. It's very convicting when you look at your life and say, well, what am I really doing toward this dream to accomplish what I was sent here to do, right? So I hope it's being driven home to you week after week the way it is for me. The seed of the dream comes from Him, and He has what it takes to complete it. You're never, ever going to look at that dream and say, oh, that's a piece of cake. That's not a dream. That's just an accomplishment. You're never going to look at it and think, well, that's easy street. It's always going to be something big that requires a lot of you. But He has what it takes to do it if you'll just follow the dream. So knowing that your days were ordained and your dream was planted, that seed of the dream, even before you were born, should inspire you to want to do more than ever to fulfill it. I mean, how sad will it be to have these dreams, okay, and to not ever be bold enough to work our way through it and to have wasted a life. I can't imagine anything more sad. If you're a Christian, that it won't mean we won't go to heaven. We can't work our way into heaven, but our rewards are there. So how sad would it be that out of fear or because we're just lazy or we're not motivated or those border bullies beat us up, whatever that reason, how sad would it be if we never, ever pursue what we were intended to pursue? And, that's why we're here living it all. Remember, we're not supposed to store anything up here, Everything that we do from this dream to you, everything, every word you speak, they have eternal purposes, and our rewards will be 100 times our efforts. You remember the parable of the Minas, right? It was interesting that Bruce Wilkinson was talking about how people, the treasures, storing up the treasures. This was a fascinating thought to me because I never really looked at it this way. And he was talking about so many people that build tremendous wealth. And then, of course, when they die, they pass it on, or a lot of them donate it, to me, I get sad. I'm so compassionate about the needs of others, and I'm not criticizing this, please. But, I've seen a number of people in my world who left tremendous amount of wealth for pets to be cared for. Well, that's fine. Whatever, but that's not what God would have us do. I'm sorry. It might be your heart, but that's not what He would have us do. But the thing that Bruce pointed out was that we're supposed to be generous and giving while we're here. Basically, and I'm paraphrasing this, but basically was saying that it really doesn't serve any purpose whatsoever. If you aren't willing to give sacrificially while you're alive, you really didn't give anything. You're dead and gone. You just couldn't take it with you. And it's God's economy. That idea of God's economy and how we talked about last week that, God has everything. He's the creator of all things, the heavens and the earth, and he puts the stars in the sky and knows them all by name. All the gold is his, all the silver is his, everything is his, right? But he doesn't have cash. And so he uses us to get out there and to build that, that flow of income, really, that flow of money, if you will. But it doesn't mean anything if we don't give it up. I'm not talking about every penny you have, don't get me wrong. But it really struck home with me when I thought, wow, how many of us do say that? How much can we store up so when we're gone we can give it to something? But we're supposed to do, our treasure's not here, our treasure's in heaven. We can't take it with us. So he expects us to work now. He put that seed of your dream within you. He expects you to fulfill it. And I don't know what your dream is, but I know that as I deal with more and more people in my world and in this business world, we might have a monetary value attached to what our why is, our vision is, our purpose is, whatever you're calling it. There's probably, a price tag attached to it. But when you look beyond just the face value of money, you'll see a tremendous amount of work being done for the kingdom. It's not just about the money. So just imagine what's possible for you if you embrace the seed of your dream and you get to work for his work. There's a separate second part of this that I want to bring forth this week that I thought was really worth taking the time to bring it up. But there's a defining scripture that Bruce Wilkinson uses. It's Ephesians 2:10. And it says, "For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them." Now think about that. I've read that scripture I don't know how many times. I'm going to read it again. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. So how in the world can we read words like this and not understand that you've got a job to do, and so do I? And it's not just sitting on a pew in church and reading the Bible and singing songs. Okay, there's a practical way that we're supposed to be serving. So I wanted to close it off with this. He used a parallel with Jeremiah, and you guys, I'm sure, are probably familiar with some of the scripture. But God summarizes the truth to this ancient prophet Jeremiah in Jeremiah 1:4-5, and he says, "Then the word of the Lord came to me, saying, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I sanctified you. I ordained you a prophet to the nations." Now, I think it's interesting. One of the things that we have a tendency to do, even though we read the Bible and we see that it is absolutely chock full of broken people. We read about people's brokenness, their sins, horrific sins. I mean, it's full of real people. The Bible's not a story. It's real. It's factual, right? And so when we read about these people, it's not like, well, God cared more about Jeremiah. He knit Jeremiah in the womb, and he sanctified Jeremiah, and he ordained Jeremiah, but he doesn't do that to me. Of course he does. This passage flashes back from Jeremiah's life on earth and all the way to eternity. So the first thing that God does in the scripture is he affirms that he created Jeremiah while he was still in the womb. "I formed you in the womb." It wasn't his parents. You don't have a mistake in your parents. If you had the worst parents on the planet, God just used the process, right, to knit you together in the womb you were supposed to be knit together, and nothing's a mistake. He ordained you, and he knit you together. Didn't have anything with DNA. Didn't have anything to do with your mom and your daddy. Didn't have anything to do with artificial insemination. Didn't have anything to do with test tube. Didn't have anything to do with anything except God ordained your life. He knew. He knit you together at the exact moment in time you were supposed to be knit together, into the exact womb you were supposed to be knit into, and he's got a plan. So the first thing was he knit him. You'll also see confirmation, if you will, in Psalms 139. It says, "My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret and skillfully wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. Your eyes saw my substance, being yet unformed. And in your book they were all written, the days fashioned for me, when as yet there were none of them." I went to the service, I hate to use the word funeral, but a memorial service, if you will, for my friend's baby who lived 70 days. And, God knew before the foundations of the earth, he knit that child in the mother's womb, and he knew that child's days would be 70. So you don't know if you get in 70 days or 70 months or 70 years or 170 years, but you do know that God puts you there. And he knows your days. He knows exactly what he wants you to do. And it's very, very compelling and convicting to wonder, am I doing what he wants me to do? That's what this dream is all about. Secondly, God knew Jeremiah before he created him. Again, he says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. He already knew him. It's something we can't even wrap our head around. Before the foundations of the earth, he knew us, right? And it's hard for us to even comprehend. Third, because God knew Jeremiah before he formed him, he sovereignly elected to sanctify him. And to sanctify means to set apart. He set Jeremiah apart for something unique and special. And guess what, folks? He did the same for you. You may not be written about specifically in the Bible, but he sets us all apart for a specific work. And he plants the gifts, spiritual gifts that he gives us, the gifts and the talents that he gives us, and he plants that seed of a dream. And we got to have faith enough to walk forward, right? So he knew, that he sanctified him. Fourthly, God ordained Jeremiah's career, basically. He was a career. He was a full-time prophet, right? And God takes it one step further and specifies the specific work that Jeremiah was set apart by God to do. Guess what, folks? He knows what he wants you to do. That's what that the gifts and talents are about. That's what that desire. That's why you keep, migrating in the direction of those things, because he planted it there, and he wants you to move forward with that. He already knows the work that he wants you to do, and you've got to, embrace how this all works so that you can get there. Fifthly, God also revealed to Jeremiah the nature of what his service would be like as a prophet to the nations. He says, see, I have this day set you over the nations and over the kingdoms to root out and to pull down, destroy and to throw down, to build and to plant. So if you ever wanted to understand more fully, the good works prepared beforehand meant for each person, this is a great illustration. None of it's a surprise. It's amazing how we as humans can get things so muddled up, right? We're like, oh, well, I don't know. We just kind of float through life, and we never seriously embrace this whole concept of I am here for a specific purpose. And am I going to fulfill that before I die or not, right? And for me, it's just been an amazing journey to consider that. Am I doing what he would have me do? Am I going to see rewards in heaven? Jeremiah 1:4 provides a magnificent revelation of how God prepares us beforehand. Again, he prepares us for good works, okay? It's not just about being all spiritual. It's not just about growing spiritually, and that's a good thing. It's not just about being more knowledgeable about the Word of God. It's not just about those. It's not just about serving the poor, although those things are very important. It's about the good works that he has set aside before the foundations of the earth for you and me to do. So can you see it? You were created for your dream. It's so exciting, right? You were born to complete every single good work that God prepared for you to do, and you were created perfectly suited to do each one of them. Your dream isn't too big for him, and it's not a mistake that it's there. And so now, you can correctly interpret the following verse that I want to share with you. It says, so I said, what shall I do, Lord? And the Lord said to me, arise and go to Damascus, and there you will be told all the things which are appointed for you to do. He's appointed the things for you and me to do. Some of these things, were good works and the things that we were appointed to do. And some of it is just coming down to, are we going to fulfill what he has for us? You and my life must focus on it and identify and strive to achieve those works. That dream, that's what it's all about, that God himself prepared for you and for me. He created you perfectly to complete with excellence every single one, every step of your dream, and he's called you to do it. So you know what, guys? Whoever's on this call tonight, you're supposed to be on this call tonight. I don't believe anything happens by mistake. Whoever's not on the call, they're not intended to be on the call. But I know that things don't happen by mistake. So if you're on this call, I hope this has touched you, and I thank you all, by the way, for bearing with me, because it's not easy to take 5 weeks and condense it down and try to figure out what would be the most meaningful part of the message to share with you. So that's it for me. I just want to ask, are you ready to move? Are you ready to really embrace that? It's not about what tickles your fancy or what tickles your ears or vacations you want to go on or anything else. It's about before you were formed in your mother's womb, God already had a job for you, and that is what your dream is. So I'd like to open it up now. Comments, questions, whatever you guys have for me. *6 should get you on the line. And so anybody have anything you'd like to share, *6.
Hey, Lynn, it's Jack, yeah?
Hey, Jack.
Hey, how's it going? I'm just having I'm having a barbecue at the same time as listening to you.
Oh, well, I don't know if I could barbecue and talk at the same time, so good for you.
You've got some Australian ship ribs out there. Anyway, I totally agree with you because, when you come to a dream, and you can have a sort of personal dream, a dream for your family, a dream for a group, and I definitely agree that it's inspired by God. That's the first thing. Mm-hmm. And I've been wrestling with some dreams that the Lord has given me over the last few years. And some dreams, what I've come to realize, they are so big. And then you also made another statement, invariably the dreams are much bigger than you. Mm-hmm. And often that is the case. So this particular case, it's much, much bigger than me. Mm-hmm. And also what I've seen with many people that get let's say a national dream or something really big, they run ahead of it and they just fly straight into that and being frustrated and just getting absolutely nowhere. Now, in a particular case that I'm working with, I've had clear instructions from the Lord to do things. Number one, don't tell anybody. I just want this between you and me. And number two, I want you to wait on me. So we have to learn to be patient, to go into a waiting mode in certain instances. And that's really hard, especially for people like you and I. We want to go out and get things done and get things moving. And so there are times where there's wisdom required, where you actually have to wait, where things are just far too big for you. And a lot of circumstances have to come into play before you can even start moving. But anyway, thanks, Lynn.
Oh, you bet. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, you reminded me of a couple things, and one of them is that, like we shared last week, Bruce Wilkinson knew that God wanted him to start that Christian magazine. And so, he set out, and he's a man of God. I'm sure he prayed, and he knew that God was sending him in that direction. But that first run failed. Well, not failed. I don't like that word, failed. But whatever. God, it was like a false start of the plan that God had. And so then, just when he would least expect it, he got approached about doing a magazine, became the biggest Christian magazine ever that we've ever had. So many different variables of that magazine. It was a tremendously successful magazine. But it wasn't, he didn't jump the gun, but sometimes we will step forward in faith, and then we'll, have a false start. It's still the dream. The dream's still there. It just may not be the way God planned it. If it went according to Bruce's plans, he would have had one great magazine. But God said, well, nice try. We're almost there. And so it was a false start. When God brought it back, it was 100 times bigger and more impactful than what Bruce had. But the dream was still the dream. I don't know if that makes sense or not. But also that, maybe people are struggling with, and I'm just using something. If you do this, forgive me. I don't know what anybody does. You might say, well, all I'm good at is knitting. I like to knit. I can't think about anything but knitting. I try to do this business, and the next thing you know, I'm sitting down and knitting. Well, there's something to that knitting, okay? And I remember the story in the first or second week. I can't remember now, but Bruce Wilkinson said a woman came up to him after he taught this series, and she said, I can't be like you. I can't get up in front of people, and I can't do all that. And we have a tendency to think, well, God's going to send me to some third world country, and we'll live in a tent. She couldn't see how this really had anything to do with her. Well, as he questioned her, the bottom line is, he said, well, what do you have a heart for? What do you like? And she just really had a heart for the elderly, and she liked it, And he said, well, what do you like about that? She said, I like making them feel special. Well, that's not by accident. I have compassion for the elderly. I am one, right? I have compassion, but I don't have some drive. I don't get, over or preoccupied thinking about how can I go make an old person feel special. But she did. That wasn't a mistake. And then come to find out, she was known for her tea parties. She loved to have tea parties. And so it evolved into, just a couple weeks later, by the way, where one way she could make the elderly feel special was to lay out a tea party. I mean, one of excellence, like a high tea out of, Great Britain. And she laid it out. And the moral of the story is that turned into doing it twice a month, doing it once a week, doing it in this nursing home, doing it in that nursing home. And the moral of the story is because she has a heart for the elderly, because she has natural gifts or talents, if you will, for the tea party thing, it all came together. And every week, hundreds of elderly people are hearing the gospel. Do you think that's a mistake? So the point is, don't look at anything little. Don't look at it and say, well, it's silly. All I like to do is knit. It doesn't matter. If it's something burning within you, God put it there. And there's some purpose in it that will lead to what he has for you. So thank you, Jack, for prompting me. And if there's anybody else, I'm sorry I'm rattling on here, but *6, anybody else have any questions, comments?
Thank you so much for sharing.
You're very welcome.
You are such a blessing.
Oh, Gina, you're a blessing.
And I hope so grateful.
Well, thank you, honey. I'm grateful. And I just, I hope that, I don't know, I'm excited about this. I hope it's bringing clarity for you, as you consider your dream and what your purpose is. Because sometimes we kind of, well, I don't mean this in a bad way, but we over-spiritualize things. We don't really stop and think and study and look at it practically and thread it all together. So it's really, really blessing me. And it's a blessing to me to know that it's blessing you. So thank you so much. Anybody else? *6.
Lynn, Bill Powers here.
Hey, Bill.
Powerful message you shared with us tonight. Absolutely. I do believe we all have a mighty belief system inside of just waiting to unleash our dream. God created us to be powerful. He created us to be confident. And I would encourage everybody on this call tonight to discover your power, tap into your own mighty dream, and take action.
That's right. Thank you so much. That's so true. We forget that we're made in his image. We have everything it takes. We just get, beaten up. We struggle with spiritual warfare. We struggle with things in our past that form who we are. We struggle with pride. We don't want to deal with our past. I don't know what it is, but you're absolutely right. All things are possible for him, who gives us strength. All things are possible, and there is great power within us. And just imagine, we're not talking about, again, let's talk business for a second. We're not talking about, let's go make $1 gazillion and buy Maseratis and buy an island, off of Fiji or something. We all have needs. There's no doubt about it. But when God plants that seed, it's for us to produce results in more ways than one. And one of the ways is to fund God's economy. And so imagine how fulfilling it will be to be able to do that. And there's the power within us. God's the creator of the dream. It ain't too big for him. It's just if we fall into the flesh and we don't look at it practically and diligently, we might miss out. And I'm going to tell you, the older I get, the more I look at my life and say, Lord, please don't let me have wasted this life. I want to know that I did what I was supposed to do when I was here. I want to know that when I'm no longer here, the world feels that difference, that void, because I was doing the work of the King. And so thank you so much for that. It's so true. It is powerful. Anybody else?
Lynn? Yes, this is Sharon. I'm sorry, I've been on mute all this time, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't get through.
Oh,
anyway,
bless your heart.
No, it's okay. You just said words that I said not more than an hour ago.
Wow.
So how do I hear these calls again and again and again so I can get out of the place where I have been to get to the place where I know I need to be?
Well, you know what? 99% of the battle is knowing where you need to be, right? So that's easy. But did you ask how can you listen to them over and over?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
Well, it's I have a YouTube channel, and everything that I do, all of these have been uploaded on YouTube, just an audio file, so you can even listen to it on your phone going down the road if you want. And so, I'll get you the link to that. Just subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you can listen until the cows come home. And, I have to do that. People laugh at me sometimes because you know this. You say we share gifts, right? And, so I know it's a gift. What I have is a gift. It's not me. I don't own it. I don't do it. I just know it's God. But believe it or not, I can actually listen to some of the messages that and it's my voice, but it's like it's feeding me too. You know what I'm saying? And so it's important to, to keep refilling that. And my son walked in one time. I'm digressing here. My youngest son, and I had just done a call like a day before, and frankly, I just spoke words and didn't remember what I said. And so I was listening to it, and he said, "Really, Mom? You're listening to yourself?" I said, "No, I'm listening to God." He just But anyway, yeah, that's great. You go to YouTube and subscribe and listen to, whatever you want over and over and over again.
So I just put your name in or the business name or what? I mean, I'm just sorry.
We'll get to the link. It's Lynn Gardner and Najik Kangen on YouTube.
Okay.
But if you're on Facebook, once I put the video up, you'll actually be watching it in YouTube, and then we can email you that too if you can't find it. It's Lynn Gardner and Najik Kangen on YouTube.
Okay. Thank you so much for everything.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, sweetheart. Anybody else out there? *6 before we conclude the call.
Thank you. This is Sharon's husband. I enjoyed listening to you.
Well, great. How are you doing tonight?
Well, good. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing great. Did you want to say anything else besides you enjoyed listening? Anything else?
No, I mean, you can't go wrong if you're following the Lord's direction.
That's right.
We just sat down in there half an hour ago or 45 minutes ago and reading out of a journal that he spoke to us 5 years ago. Sharon wants me to shut up, but anyway, it's the truth. What you're speaking is the truth. So
it is, and it's such a powerful truth. I'm so grateful for this study. Really, I can't begin to tell you. Because I don't know if you heard me say early on that I knew the work of Bruce Wilkinson. I knew the Walk Through the Bible series. I actually helped facilitate that at my church. I knew the prayer of Jabez. I knew his ways. I enjoyed his teaching. So when I saw the course come up, I'm like, dream again? Yeah, I'm in. I know I'll get something out of that. But I was not prepared for the depth of it and for being able to just put all these puzzle pieces together. I mean, it just has really supercharged me spiritually, and really it makes me see now these threads in my life, those things that I just kept migrating to. Those are the seeds of the dream, the gifts and talents. So thank you so much for sharing that. I hope it's a blessing to you, and thank you for sharing. Anybody else before we conclude the call? *6. Thank you so much, guys, for piping in. I do love to hear back from you and hear your thoughts, and just to get some feedback that it's blessing you or not blessing you. If you have any questions along the way, it's been my pleasure. So you guys look for the recording. It's being recorded. Every single one is recorded and uploaded. And you guys make it a blessed day. I will see you next Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.